Good day, panels. My name is Joan J. A. Gomez. Together with my co-researchers, Ms. Jisa Castromayor and Ms. Winsimi Lipio, we will present our research study entitled Sa Pula sa Puti, Isabong in the Time of New Normal.
Our rationale. The proliferation of e-sabong among other online gambling attractions is tearing families apart and worsening social ills in the country. Some Filipinos' growing addiction to online gambling warrant serious attention from the national government amid reported cases of suicide and destruction of families because of it. The case of popular electronic cockfight betting or e-sabong that was aided by the rise of digital wallets in the country and has now become a social problem after many compulsive gamblers lost large sums and were left in financial ruin.
We can observe that isabong causes many conflicts, most especially in the family relationships and financial statements. It presents that isabong addiction is alarming to our community.
Gambling problems can have significant impacts on families and communities, yet this has received relatively little research attention. Although most available information is based on intimate partners and children. Gambling problems can also affect extended family members, such as parents, grandparents, and siblings. In light of this gap, this study qualitatively explores the lives and experiences of individuals who actively participated in gambling, but particularly in e-sabong. This study deals with specific issues such as reasons for involvement in e-sabong, means of earning money through it, the amount of bet spent on the game, and effects of isabong on a hacker's relationship with his family.
We can infer that isabong is a type of gambling through the use of internet, and it is considered as one of the most leisure for gamblers and hackers during lockdown because of pandemic. Too much addiction of it can cause conflicts in families, finance, and also considered as social ill.
Significance of the study. The conduct of this study is highly significant in understanding problems encountered by hackers in e-sabong. Result of this study will be the baseline of our government to formulate policies and guidelines of gambling problems in the new normal as platforms of getting relevant information. This will also be the basis of information for the citizens in Tagum City as well as the community in understanding the gambling problems in the new normal. In addition, this will be beneficial to criminology students in which the study will give them additional ideas or information on gambling problems. Lastly, it is hoped that future researchers who want to conduct research related to this study may use the result as their reference and to further study the recommendations that are cited herein.
This study will be beneficial to other researchers who wants to furthermore explore the essence of isabong, the advantages and disadvantages, and the conflicts of hackers during addiction.
Purpose of the study. The main purpose of the study is to characterize in general perspective the culture of isabong and to mirror out the philosophical values and social norms among Tagomeños that are deeply rooted in social activity of cockfighting. Specifically, it aims to do an attempt in explaining that isabong is not just a form of vice or even gambling but rather a way of social interaction and culture exposition to determine the moral implication of isabong and to serve as good source of readings for students taking criminology for the purpose of enhancing students' knowledge, norms, social values, and beliefs of Tagomeños have drawn out of this study which can help to understand the society and the people in general.
The purpose of our study to know that a lot of people in Tagum City are hooked in online gamblings in the new normal, includes students and those who have work or profession. This study will be the baseline of our government to conduct policies and guidelines, and also citizens give them information and understanding the gambling problems in the new normal in our city. In a qualitative research of isabong, there are 3 questions. First, what are the problems encountered by the hackers on isabong? This question we will try to seek out what are the common problems that encountered by the hackers. 2. How do hackers cope with gambling problems? In this question, we also tried to know how they resolve their goblin problems, which is isabong. And 3, what are the insight of Cockers on isabong? In this last question, we will try to get their perspective.
Methods. The participants of the study will be the Cockers of Isabong and Tagum City. They will be selected and identified through purposive sampling, also called judgment sampling, as suggested by Patun 2002. It is the deliberate choice of an informant due to the qualities they possess. In determining the research participants in this phenomenological study, Chris will suggest collecting extensive details about a few sites and individuals. He provided some recommendations and observations that in a phenomenological study, there will be at least 5 to 15 participants. Thus, in this study, there will be 14 participants. 7 of them will be subjected for the in-depth interview, who are families affected by their husbands' vices in Isabong. And the other 7 for the focus group discussion, who are Cockers age 35 to 50 years old. The researchers will identify and select the participants by using the following inclusion criteria. They will be chosen according to this criteria: design and procedure. In this qualitative research, data sources are typically gathered in multiple forms. And one of its form is the use of virtual in-depth interviews and focus group discussion. In-depth interviews are typically a face-to-face conversation between a researcher and a participant involving a transfer of information through the interviewer. Thus, in-depth interviews were useful for gathering perspective of participants, as they were also appropriate for getting people's personal feelings, opinions, and life experiences. The main source of our data are the answers of our participants taken through in-depth interviews and focus group discussion. In this study, we will utilize a virtual in-depth interview and focus group discussion as our primary source of data. This will be conducted to the 14 participants for the collection and gathering of the needed data. With the permission of the participants, the interviews will be recorded to make sure that the responses will not change. The data collected provided enough information needed to make the study valid. In addition, we'll utilize secondary sources like journals, books, and internet sources. According to Chris Will, quantitative approach to data collection, analysis, interpretation, and report writing is different from the traditional quantitative approach. As a researcher, we are aware that we will take a precise step in the data collection. Therefore, the following stages will be carried out for the useful result. First, we will send letters asking permission to the Dean of College and the Program Head of Criminal Justice Education of the University of Mindanao Tagum College to allow us to conduct this study. As soon as we will get their permission, we will proceed to second step, which will personally select our participants in Tagum City. We will approach them and ask for their permission to be our participants. After we will receive the responses, we will meet them virtually. The participants will inform and explain about the study. We will provide the participants' consent form to notify them about the purpose of our study and let them sign the said consent. We will also ask them virtually if they are employees, Cockers, and students who are also engaged in Isabong in Tagum City for 2 years. This will ensure that they are qualified as participants. As a researchers, we will ensure that our participants' confidentiality remains secured. Along with this, we will prepare the materials needed for our study, such as interview guide and mobile phone, which are all useful in our data gathering, so no information will be missed. Also, we will ask our participants regarding their convenient time and place for interview. Third, we will proceed to interviews, which will be done virtually through Google Meet and Facebook Messenger, while notes will be taken for future reference of the different answers of our participants. Fourth, the recorded files will save in flash drive or CD. Read it for transcription, ensuring that the information remains confidential. Finally, transcription and thematic analysis will be followed. This process will give us chance to have a core ideas and eventually help us produce themes. After data collection and interviews will be completed, the collected data will be summarized, transcribed, translated, and analyzed. In analyzing our data, we will use the suggestions of Chris Will with the following step in the process of data analysis. First, we'll prepare and organize the data for data analysis. This involves transcribing and translating interviews, sorting and arranging data into different types depending on the sources of the information. Second, we'll read the data thoroughly. We'll gain general sense from the information and reflect the overall meaning. Third, in analyzing the data, we will collect the data first based on the in-depth interview of the participants. The recorded and written information will be the basis in writing and noting down the data. Fourth, after gathering, we will transcribe the important information and other data from the participants. Information will be interpreted and build themes from the data collected and help present the findings. Fifth, we will represent the data within the research report, after which we will interpret the larger meaning of the data. Then lastly, we will seek help from our data analyst and research advisor to check the correctness of the generated core ideas and major themes.